إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة ومن يوق شح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. صدق الله العظيم. فقال النبي الكريم صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم الدنيا سجن المؤمن وجنة الكافر أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام أما بعد. I want you to take a moment and think of a time in your life where you had to put in some extra effort towards something. That perhaps you did some extra work for the company that you worked for and you didn't receive any compensation for it. But you weren't upset, you did it willingly. Maybe you were part of an MSA, you were an organizer, a volunteer, you were doing work for the community. Or perhaps it was even your own business that you were pouring your own blood, sweat, and tears into. You were willing to do whatever it took to find success in that moment. And it's a very interesting and a very, very unique way of thinking. Because this goes against the human being's nature. The human being typically is very self-serving. The human being wants to take care of itself. The nafs calls out to us. And if we find benefit in something, then we're going to pick that before we pick something that doesn't benefit us. You hear this and it seems normal. It seems natural. You say, what sounds strange about that? The only time that we as human beings are able to push past that self-indulgent nature, the desire to only do good for ourselves, is when we really and truly believe in something. When something has reached our hearts. So that when that work in that moment, when our hearts believe, it changes from something that's simply an exchange of my time or an exchange of services for money, that now it becomes something that we really and truly believe in. We're fighting for. We're going to be willing to put in extra time even if there's no compensation involved in it. When you're starting a business, you know that you have to go the extra mile. You have to do things that others aren't doing that may even lose you money in the beginning because you need to establish yourself. You need to do more to be able to set yourself up. The point being, when we believe in something very deeply, we are willing to put in a lot more time and effort and energy towards that thing. But on the other side of the equation, when we don't believe in something, when we really don't feel that passion or that conviction towards this thing, we start to become disengaged. You know, nowadays there's that term, quiet quitting. You just exist at your job, you do the absolute bare minimum, you get it over with and that's it. You go home and enjoy yourself. This is that mindset. And the thought process becomes that, well, if it's convenient, and that's a very big if it's convenient, then maybe I'll consider doing something extra. Maybe I'll consider putting in a little more time. Now, to understand this, as with anything, we need to look at our deen. And there are two contrasting examples that we can see. The first comes in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about Banu Israel. وإذ قال موسى لقومه يا قوم اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ جعل فيكم أنبياء وجعلكم ملوكا وآتاكم ما لم يؤت أحدا من العالمين. Musa alayhi salam, speaking to Banu Israel, makes a very simple argument to them. He makes a very simple statement that, oh my people, remember what Allah has given you. Remember the blessings that you've been given. Allah has brought prophets from amongst your people. This lineage of Ishaq alayhi salam is littered with prophets. You have been blessed as kings. You've been given rulership over places. And He has given you things that He's not given to anybody else. So He's making an appeal to them. Remember the good in your life. Remember all the blessings you have. Then He makes a statement. يَا قَوْمِ ادْخُلُوا الْأَرْضَ الْمُقَدَّسَةَ الَّتِي كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ وَلَا تَرْتَدُّوا عَلَىٰ أَدْبَارِكُمْ فَتَنْقَلِبُوا خَاسِرِينَ. Allah, then Musa alayhi salam says to them, "O my people, enter this holy land, this blessed land that Allah has written for you. He has granted you this. This will be yours. Just enter this place." It's as if somebody comes to you and says, "This is your new home. No strings attached. You just have to go through the door." That's all you have to do, is go through the door. Their response was very, very unique, because they're being offered something, but their response shows their ingratitude. قالوا يا موسى إنا فيها قوما جبارين وإنا لن ندخلها حتى يخرجوا منها. Musa, there are people in there that are rough. There are some rough and tumble people in there. We're not interested in going to that place. Doesn't matter what we've been promised. We're not interested in going until those people have left. فَإِن يَخْرُجُوا مِنْهَا فَإِنَّا دَاخِلُونَ. But then if those guys leave, yeah, no problem, we'll go in. Think about what they're saying here. It's what I started with, right? If it's convenient, if, it's a big if it works for me, if it's okay for me, and I feel like it's going to be not that difficult, okay, no problem, I'll do it then. But it's a big thing that they're adding. No, if they're not there, okay, maybe I'll consider it then. Two young men who are firm, strong believers. قال رجلان من الذين يخافون أنعم الله عليهما ادخلوا عليهم الباب. They say to their people that, please just do what he's saying. Let's enter this place. فإذا دخلتموهم فإنكم غالبون. When you enter this place, you will be given victory. It's guaranteed. It's written. Allah has written this place for you. Brothers, scoot up if you can. Fill in this first row as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written this place. This land has been written for you. You will have it. There is no question of if. It will come to you. You just have to actually go there. You have to enter in. وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَتَوَكَّلُوا إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. You just need to believe. Just believe. If you believe, you will be given this amazing prize. You will be given this amazing thing. What do you have to do? You have to buy in. You have to be invested. You have to say, I believe. I'm with this. Their response, قَالُوا يَا مُوسَى. Once again they say, Musa, إِنَّا لَن نَدْخُلَهَا أَبَدًا مَا دَامُوا فِيهَا. As long as those people are there, we'll never enter it. No, not interested. Not willing. We're not going to go there. فَاذْهَبْ أَنْتَ وَرَبُّكَ. You and your Lord go. Think about this. When you hear this statement, how do you feel? That Musa alayhi salam, our prophet Musa alayhi salam, saying, just go to this place. And the insolent response that is given to him, you and your Lord go. You feel anger. You feel upset. How dare they say something like that to our prophet Musa alayhi salam? How dare they speak in such a way? You and your Lord go. It upsets you. And it's natural. It's good. It's not a wrong thing that this should upset you. فَقَاتِلَا إِنَّا هَاهُنَا قَاعِدُونَ. They say that you and your Lord go fight them. We're going to be right here. We're sitting right here. We're not sacrificing our comfort. We're going to sit here. That's it. We're going to be here, nowhere else. Musa alayhi salam, what can he do? قَالَ رَبِّي إِنِّي لَا أَمْلِكُ إِلَّا نَفْسِي وَأَخِي. Oh Allah, I don't control anyone. I can't control the affairs of people. I can't make people do things except myself and maybe my brother. فَافْرُقْ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَ الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ. Oh Allah, make a division between us. Keep us away from these wrongdoing people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then decrees something very hard, very harsh. قَالَ فَإِنَّهَا مُحَرَّمَةٌ عَلَيْهِمْ 40 سَنَةً. This place is now forbidden for them for 40 years. They're not going to be able to enter this place. يَتِيهُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. They're going to wander in the earth. They're going to be exiled from this place. It's not permissible for them anymore. فَلَا تَأْسَ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Musa alayhi salam, so don't grieve. For these wrongdoing people, don't feel sad, don't feel bad. Just move on. Now understand, Musa alayhi salam, because of what they have done, those are his people. So what is he doing? He's effectively now banned from going to Ard al-Muqaddas, to Al-Quds. He's banned from this place. Not him, but of course the people are, and he takes his people with him away from it. Notice what happens. There's a clear progression. They're told to do something. The response is, no, there's some rough and tumble people there. We're not going to go there until they're gone. Some people try to encourage them. Just do it. Come on, you're guaranteed this. You have it written. It's done. And then what do they respond with? No, not going to happen. Don't think so. Not interested. It's not convenient. Not going to do it. We'll be right here sitting. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then punishes them. They don't get to have this blessed place. They don't get to have this amazing location, this holy place. They don't get that anymore. Contrast this now to the Sahaba. Because this one side, this first contrast that we have is Banu Israel. They're offered Ard al-Muqaddasa, a holy place, this holy land, and they refuse because they're not interested in doing something if it's not on their terms, if it's not convenient to them. They say a completely insolent response, you and your Lord go. You all do this, not going to do it. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, there's an example when the Prophet ﷺ decided to leave the city of Medina, that not long before he had made his hijrah to the city of Medina, and there the Prophet ﷺ had established life, and then they got word that a caravan carrying many of the stolen goods of those who had migrated, the Muhajirun, many of these stolen goods were in a caravan that the leader, or one of the leaders of Quraysh, Abu Sufyan at the time, he was taking to Sham, to Syria to trade. He was going to basically take their stolen goods, make money off of it to fuel their destruction of Medina, to fund the destruction, the planned destruction of Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ realizes he needs to make a decision. And so what does he do? He decides we need to leave the city of Medina and we need to go after this caravan. And he realizes something very important. That the Muhajirun, those who had left everything behind, well, they're already invested, they're going to be with him. There's no doubt about this. But the Prophet ﷺ, because he was someone who was halim, he had foresight, he was forbearing, he recognized that according to the letter of the law, the letter of the contract that the Ansar, the people of Medina, that they had agreed to, they didn't agree to ever leave the city of Medina to fight. They had only ever agreed that they would defend the city if it came under attack. It's a minute difference, but it's an important distinction. Because if somebody comes to you and says, watch my house, that's one thing. If somebody comes to you and says, watch all the things that I own that are all outside of my home, that's a very different proposition. The Prophet ﷺ realizes that the letter of what the Ansar agreed to is that they would only defend the city if it was attacked. But here they're planning to leave the city of Medina. They're going out of Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ, he asks, will you follow me if I leave the city? The Muhajirs, all of them respond, yes, absolutely, Ya Rasulullah. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, Umar radiallahu anhu, all these individuals who were from Mecca originally, they said, absolutely, we're with you. The Prophet ﷺ repeated his question. If I leave, will you go with me? And again, the Muhajir, they spoke up. They said, yeah, absolutely, let's go. We're ready. Let's go. It's time. And at this point, then the Prophet ﷺ asks a third time, if I go, will you go with me? One of the companions who was an Ansari, who was the leader of the Ansar, one of the leaders, Sa'ad ibn Mu'ad, radiallahu anhu, he realized what the Prophet ﷺ was saying. He realized what he was doing. He had a recollection that what they had agreed to as Ansar, as people who would take the Prophet ﷺ in, was that according to the letter of that agreement, they would only defend, they would not go out of the city. And he realized the Prophet ﷺ was asking because he wanted to have confirmation that the Ansar were bought in, that they were all in on this. The response when he realized this is so beautiful. He stood up, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I think you're speaking about us. He said, listen, I'm going to speak for all of the Ansar. There's no question here. There's no question to be asked here. You might think that just because we agreed to this specific thing, we wouldn't follow. But Ya Rasulullah, we will go wherever you tell us to go. We will join the people that you tell us to join. We will cut off people you tell us to join. If you take from our resources, we will be happier with what you take from us than what you leave behind with us. It's a powerful response. He's saying, Ya Rasulullah, there's no debate here. There's no question. We're bought in. You say we follow. Sami'na wa ata'na. That's it. Hear and obey, no questions. You tell us and we will follow you wherever you need us to go, Ya Rasulullah. It's a very different response, isn't it? One group says, if it's convenient, then we'll do it. Well, mind you, they've been given this command. There is no agreement for them to fall back on. They were told very simply, you should listen and obey. The Ansar at least have the excuse that they had something written down that says, Ya Rasulullah, this is our agreement. But they say, forget the agreement. We're with you. You tell us anything and we will do it. This is a huge contrast. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum were bought in. They were ready to do whatever was necessary to help the Prophet ﷺ. They were invested, they were engaged, and they believed 110% in what they were doing. And that is the difference. Because of that belief, because of their conviction in what they were doing being correct, they were willing to go the extra mile no matter what the cost was. Didn't matter if it was convenient. Didn't matter if it was easy. They were willing to put in the effort because this is what they believed in. Just like with anything else in our lives, when we believe in something, we're willing to go that extra mile. So consider this contrast and ask yourself where you fall in this equation. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our hearts ones of conviction. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لكل مسائل المسلمين فأستغفره إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا مولانا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد. In our times today, and brothers, before I continue, scoot up please. There's gaps, I see them all over. Fill in every single spot you see. We don't want people standing if they don't have to. In our times today, brothers and sisters, nobody is asking us to sacrifice our lives. There are no physical battles to fight. And the people who wish to do us harm, if they do us harm, will face consequences. Unlike the Quraysh, who if they harmed a believer, they face no consequences from their people. We don't have such persecution. But there is also a reality that we need to grapple with, which is that we as a community are not bought in. It's not a debate. It's not a question. It's an unfortunate fact of our lives. At this point in time, most of us are very happy to delegate the responsibilities that are fard kifaya, that are a communal obligation. We are very happy to delegate them to other people. Oh, they run the masjid, they're doing a great job, let them do it. Oh, the cleaning that has to happen here, I don't know how to clean that well, I'm not going to be involved in that. We are ready to let others do the work, and we're happy to just come pray our Jumu'ah, come pray Isha, pray Fajr, pray any other Salah and leave, and that's it. That's our investment. We come for Salah and khalas, that's it. Other people, the lights stay on because other people put in time. The AC runs because there are people who are here, who put in time and energy and effort, and we're happy to say, oh yeah, you know what, it's okay, let them do it. Of the two groups I mentioned, The Sahaba and Banu Israel, who does that sound more like? Yes, if it's convenient, I will help out. If it fits my schedule, sure, I'll help out with this or that. I'll be involved. I'll do this. But only if it's convenient. Who does that sound like? Sounds like Banu Israel. Doesn't sound like the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. When we answer this question, we are not going to like the answer. But we have to grapple with this. We have to recognize this, because the only way to solve a problem is to recognize that there is one. COVID unfortunately messed us up as a community. We got very used to going into our homes and just being able to take all the content according to our convenience. Oh, it's live streamed, I'll listen to the recording. Oh, there's a recording, I'll do it in the car. Everything happens outside now. We've been drifting away, however, long before COVID happened. Every single masjid in the country deals with a shortage of volunteers. Why? Because people lack the conviction to do what is needed, and they are not bought in. And many times that exists, many times that happens because there are so many obstacles. There's this person or that person, there's this bureaucracy or that bureaucracy. There's people who make it difficult. But not here. Not in this place. Not in your community. Brothers and sisters, the time has come for us to stop following the example, the Sunnah of Banu Israel. If it's convenient, sure, why not? If it's nice for me, yeah, if it benefits me, okay. We need to stop following this Sunnah and focus on the Sunnah of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. That if I need to, I will sacrifice my time. Not just use my time, sacrifice my time. Because I could be doing something else, but I choose to be here serving the house of Allah. In whatever way that is, whatever capacity that is. If there's a program, I'm going to sacrifice my pleasure for maybe some knowledge. Maybe I don't get to do something fun right away when I want to, but if you always are trying to do things that are fun, that's following your nafs at every single moment. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum were not like that. And understand, this is not to make anyone feel bad, because the past is the past. What we need to focus on is the future of our community and how we as a community move forward. Not, oh, if it's convenient, I'll help out. Oh, if it's convenient, I'll volunteer. Oh, maybe if this thing needs to be done, I'll help out if it fits into my schedule. But no, I will do it because it is fi sabilillah. It is in the path of Allah. And I am making a sacrifice for Allah, doing it for His pleasure. You may think to yourself at this moment, okay, I'll try to be more present when I have some more time. This is a trick of shaitan. What I challenge all of you today, there's no 3 points, there's only 1 point. Be involved in your masjid. Be present in your masjid. Get out of the Sunnah of Banu Israel if it's convenient. And get back to this place of believers, of our Sahaba radiallahu anhum, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Quran, وَلَا يَجِدُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ حَاجَةً مِمَّا أُوتُوا. They don't have any need for the things that they've been given. That's not what they're obsessed with. That's not what they're focused on. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. They prefer others even when they have a need. The one thing I leave you with is get involved. There's no time like the present. Make the intention, say, I'm not going to be like Banu Israel, I'm going to be like the Sahaba, and do the things that need to be done to be a part of this masjid. Make the intention to be involved, to be a part of the community, not outside the community. Not somebody who comes to pray and just does it and enjoys it and then gets to walk away having put in no time or energy or effort, but somebody who's invested. The ICOM flash doesn't come because nobody's doing it. The lights here aren't on because nobody pays the bill. There's not Wi-Fi because there's no one managing these things. There are people who do it. And my challenge to you is to be a part of that group who over themselves do that which will be a sacrifice and more like the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open our hearts and make us like the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our hearts united as one community. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the tawfiq to be able to serve His house. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعيذكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله